Effects of negative feedback on input impedance. In my last lecture, we have seen that based on the ways you can sample the output signal and you can mix up them with the input signal, we have divided the negative feedback system into four categories. So those are called the feedback topologies, and they are voltage series, current shunt, and the voltage shunt feedback. Although I have discussed these kind of topologies for the negative feedback, but they are also possible for the positive feedback also. But however, since we have or we do use this positive feedback for limited cases, so therefore and the negative feedback has a widespread use, therefore we generally concentrate or we discuss this kind of for topologies for negative feedback only. Regarding these four topologies, here I have presented this voltage series and the current series. So in case of voltage series, the output signal which is being sampled is a voltage, and the feedback network is producing the feedback signal which is also in terms of the voltage. And since at the input side it is being mixed up with the input signal in series, and since the feedback signal is a voltage, and we know that the two voltage sources can only be mixed in series comparison, so therefore the source must be of voltage type, uh, and this base amplifier becomes the voltage amplifier. So that makes this open loop gain, which is the ratio of V0 to Vi, where V0 is the output voltage of the system and Vi is the voltage appearing across the input impedance of this amplifier, and Vs is the original voltage source. So AV is the open loop voltage, whereas AVF is the closed loop voltage, where that closed loop voltage is defined as V0 to Vas, this ratio V0 to Vas, the ratio of these two voltages, and whereas the open loop voltage includes this ratio of V0 to Vi. The feedback factor is represented by the ratio of the feedback voltage to the output voltage of the system. In case of current series amplifier, the signal which is being sampled is the current, and the feedback network is producing a feedback signal in terms of the voltage, and that is being mixed up in series. So that makes this amplifier as a transconductance amplifier, where the output signal is a current we are considering and the input signal is the voltage. So that input signal, which is the open loop transconductance amplifier or gain, open loop gain of the transconductance amplifier is a ratio of output voltage to output current to input voltage. Output current is the actual current that is being sampled, and the input voltage which is appearing across the input impedance of the base amplifier. And the open closed loop gain is the ratio of output current to the input voltage. So this is the input voltage, whereas this input voltage is the input voltage which is being derived from the original input voltage. So this is the current series amplifier. In case of current shunt, the output signal, the sampled output signal is the current, but it is being mixed up at the input in shunt. So therefore the input also will be a current type, and that is why these two current signal, one is the feedback signal which is the current, another is the source, they are being mixed up at the input side. Here also the current amplifier, open loop current amplifier, is represented by this ratio I0 to II, whereas the open loop closed loop current amplifier is represented by I0 to Is, and this feedback factor is nothing but the ratio of the feedback current to the output current. In case of voltage shunt, the output signal which is being sampled is a voltage, and the input signal is feedback signal is current, and that makes the input signal also is a current because they are being mixed in shunt comparison. And these this is called the trans resistance amplifier, where the ratio of the uh, open loop amplifier is defined as the output voltage to input current, where this II is the input current that flows through the input impedance of the base amplifier, whereas RMF represents the closed loop gain of the trans resistance amplifier, where this RMF includes the output voltage and the input current Is, where this II actually the derived current from this Is. So these are the summary of the four feedback topologies. And we have seen that there exist four type of base amplifiers which were associated with the four types of feedback topologies. So first one is the voltage amplifier, and from in my last lecture I have explained that in order to be a voltage amplifier, the input impedance and the output impedance must be maintained this condition, that is the input impedance must be very greater than Rs, the source impedance, because this entire input voltage should appear across the input impedance of the device rather than being lost by uh, a drop across its own source resistance. So that is why Ri must be very greater than this Rs. And in order to appear the entire amplified voltage across the RL rather than being lost by a drop across this R naught, so we must have these conditions that R naught must be very less than this RL. Ideally this R naught should be 0. In case of current amplifier, these two conditions, because we should expect that entire source current must flow through the input impedance of the device, because you can see the amplified signal is AI times II, so that a current amplifier amplifies that current which flows through its input impedance, not the source impedance, source current what you are applying. So therefore, in order to drive the entire source current through this input impedance, this Rs must be very greater than this Ri, or Ri must be very less than this Rs. And a similar condition holds as we want that entire current should flow through this RL, because the purpose of this amplification is to drive some load, and for that reason the total amplified current must flow through this RL, load impedance. And in order to satisfy that, the load impedance must be very less than this R naught, or in other words, this output impedance of for a current amplifier which appears parallel, uh, in contrast with the voltage amplifier where this output impedance appears in series with the amplified voltage source. So for a current amplifier, the R naught must be very greater than this RL. And the trans resistance amplifier and the trans conductance amplifiers are nothing but a combination of these two. A trans resistance amplifier, for the input side of this trans resistance amplifier takes a form of the current amplifier, whereas at the output side it takes the form of the voltage amplifier. So obviously their input impedance and the output impedance will be a combination of the voltage amplifier and the current amplifier. So therefore, for their input impedance must be very less than Rs, and it should follow this one for current amplifier, and R naught must be very greater than RL, very less than RL, in order to maintain, or in order to appear the entire amplified voltage across the load impedance. Similarly, for the transconductance amplifier, the input side should look like the voltage amplifier. Therefore, the input impedance must be very greater than the source impedance, and the output impedance, which because the output side is looking like the current amplifier, so therefore the output impedance must be very greater than the RL, load impedance, which is exactly equals to that condition we have seen for the current amplifier. With the recapitulation of my previous lecture, in this lecture and in my subsequent lectures, I am going to discuss a few effects of the negative feedback, mainly on the input impedance, output impedance, and on the gain bandwidth product. But for this lecture right now, I am going to discuss only the effect of the feedback on input impedance. And that effect will be discussed for each type of topologies, that is voltage series, current shunt, and voltage shunt feedback. First of all, I'm going to consider the voltage series feedback. So this is the original block diagram of the voltage series feedback, where this output voltage is being sampled and being fed to this feedback network, and that feedback network is simply producing a feedback voltage which is proportional to the output voltage of the system of this entire circuit, and that feedback voltage gets mixed up with the input signal in opposite polarity, and that's all. Therefore, we can simply model this entire circuit by adding a voltage source in series with the input voltage source or in the input loop, and by making their polarities opposite to that of the input signal, we can make these signals to be subtracted. These two signal to voltage sources should be subtracted because of their opposite polarities. So once you have modeled these things, or you have included a voltage source in series at the input section and named it as a feedback voltage which is proportional to the V naught, then you are done. So for a voltage series feedback, the input side taking the input signal in terms of the voltage, and it is also producing the output signal in terms of the voltage. So basically this amplifier is a voltage amplifier, and in the model of the voltage amplifier, in order to take the effect of the feedback, you have just included another voltage source in series with the input signal having opposite in polarity in comparison with that of the input signal, and that makes this model complete. Now, as we know that Ri, the input impedance of the open loop system, is nothing but the ratio of Vi to Ii. So Vi is the voltage drop across this Ri, and Ii is the current which is flowing through this Ri. So that is the open loop input impedance. Now when you are considering the closed loop input impedance, that is the ratio of Vs to Is, because when you are considering Vs and Is, you have to consider this entire loop where this Vf is appearing. So due to this appearance of this Vf, you are basically taking into account the feedback, effect of the feedback. And in this configuration, since Is and Ii are same, so we can write this Rif equals to Vs divided by Ii. Next, applying KVL within this input loop, we can easily find this equation, because Vs is equals to Ii times the summation of these two resistance Rs plus Ri, plus this K times V naught, which is the feedback voltage. And V naught, which is the output voltage, can also be found from this output loop by applying this voltage divider rule. So this is the amplified voltage AV times VI, a small v times VI multiplied with this RL divided by the summation of this load impedance plus the output impedance. And here I am considering this A capital V instead of this A small v. So what is the difference? The A capital V includes this A small v times this RL divided by RL plus R naught. So what are the difference between these A small v and A capital V? Let's see. As I told, AV includes this entire term other than this VI. Now here, if you take the limit that RL tends to infinity for this AV, which means that RL becomes very greater than this R naught, then actually you are having this A small v. That means A small v is resulted when RL tends to infinity. That means there is no RL, you have opened this load impedance. So that is why A small v is called open loop and open load voltage gain. So A small v already I have shown in my last lecture, even in my last in a slide where I have recapitulated. So there A small v was the ratio of output voltage to input voltage Vi. So that was representing the open loop voltage. But right now we came to know that A small v is also representing open load voltage gain. So it is the open loop and open load voltage gain. A capital V on the other hand is representing open loop but with load voltage gain, because the closed loop voltage gain includes this AVF factor. So AVF should be equals to A capital V divided by 1 plus K times A capital V. So this is the closed loop voltage gain. So A capital V, so this closed loop voltage gain includes this A capital V, as the open loop voltage gain is right now defined by this A capital V, because in practical circuit we cannot we can't use this A small v. Rather than in case of practical circuit, always there will be a load that will be connected with the circuit. Therefore a capital V always will be resulted, and therefore a VA will be resulted accordingly. Next one is that if you replace this VI from here, that means VI equals to RI times II in this equation, and this V naught from here to here, the first equation, this equation will be resulted. And from here you just take this II and RI common from here and divide this, as you have defined this RIF equals to the ratio of Vs divided by II. Just divide these two equation by this II, and this RIF will be resulted. Now in this equation, ideally, if we consider that RS equals to 0, then RIF will be like this. So either you can consider for ideal case the RS equals to 0, or if you consider that RS within this RI, that means if you start your analysis by considering RS plus RI as a single quantity, or the entire input impedance is equals to RS plus RI, then also this equation will be resulted. Next one is the current series feedback. The procedures are same. Here I have included the voltage, feedback voltage in series with the input signal, which is also a voltage type. But right now the ratio, the feedback factor depends upon the output feedback voltage to the output current. So that is why feedback voltage takes the form of K times V naught, which is in opposite to the previous case, that is a voltage series feedback where it was K times V naught. So be careful while you are doing these things. And in case of current series, this circuit, the output section is a current type and the input section is a voltage type. So it is basically a transconductance amplifier. That is why I have represented this G small m, which is internal gain or open loop gain for this amplifier, and which is amplifying the voltage appearing across its Ri. So therefore the open loop input impedance is defined as previously I have defined as Vi to Ii, and the closed loop is Vs to Ii. So let's see. Similarly, like in the previous case, apply the KVL and find this expression. Now here you need to find out this I naught. I naught you can easily find by applying this current divider rule, as I have applied over here. And here, other than this Vi, I have clubbed all other parameter and I named them as G capital M. Now what is G capital M? The G capital M includes the G small m times R naught divided by R naught plus RL. So what is the significance of G capital, or what are the difference between G capital M and G small m? Look, G is capital M, if you take the limit that RL is equals to 0, so that will result this G small m, which is just opposite condition what I have obtained for the voltage series feedback, where I have assumed that RL tends to infinity. That means the open load condition. But here RL tends to 0, which represents the short circuit condition. If you place a short circuit across this RL, so that will represent this RL is equals to 0. So this gain G capital M represents the short circuit current gain or short circuit transconductance gain. So G small m, as previously, represents the open loop and short circuit current gain. G capital M represents the open loop with load current gain. This is without load means short circuit, but G capital M represents the open loop with load current gain. Whereas the with feedback transconductance gain is equals to the G capital M divided by 1 plus K times Gm. Now procedures are same. Replace this Vi from here, and finally I naught from here, and you will end up with this equation. And from this equation you will take, if you take this II times Ri common and divide, this equation will be resulted. And finally for Rs equals to 0, this equation, we are finding this equation. Now if you compare these two equations, because we are considering the input impedance in both the cases for voltage series and the current series, we are having the with feedback input impedance is greater than the without feedback input impedance, because we know that 1 plus K times AV or 1 plus K times Gm is very greater than 1, because that is the purpose of the negative feedback, because by making this K times open loop gain very greater than 1, we are gaining control over the closed loop gain. So that is why this K times G capital M, and in a previous case for voltage series feedback K times A capital V is very greater than 1, and that makes this Ri times this product greater than that Ri. So RIF is greater than Ri for a voltage series as well as the current series feedback. Now just recall that condition. What was the condition for the input impedance for a voltage amplifier and for a transconductance amplifier? The condition was that input impedance should be greater than the source impedance. And in order to make that, or in order to design a voltage amplifier or a transconductance amplifier, our objective should be to make the input impedance as high as possible. And here you can see that by implying this negative feedback, you are achieving a higher input impedance, which means the negative feedback actually supports the requirement for the transconductance amplifier and the voltage amplifier uh, on behalf of the input impedance. Next one is the current shunt feedback. In case of current shunt feedback, the output signal that gets sampled is a current, and the feedback network which is producing a feedback signal, that is also a current signal. So that is why, and as this current signal gets mixed up in shunt with the input signal, so input signal I have assumed a current by representing a Norton equivalent source over here. And the feedback signal I have modeled by a shunt current source, as shown you can see from here, where the feedback signal is represented by this IF, which is equals to K times I naught, where I naught is the output current of this system. The definition of the input voltage without feedback and the input impedance of without feedback and the input impedance with feedback are same as I have defined in a previous case. So input impedance uh, without feedback is represented by this R VI divided by II, whereas input impedance with feedback is defined as the ratio of VI to IS. Here IS is different from this II because due to presence of this IF factor, which is the feedback current, which gets subtracted from this IS and producing the II. And in addition to that, there is a possibility that some of the current should be drawn through this RS. So that is why II and IS are different, but VI are same because the VI which is appearing across the input impedance of the device, so that VI is appearing across all other elements because all of them are in parallel combination. Next is by applying KCL at the input side, we are having this expression, and here I just need to replace this I naught, and I naught you can get by applying the current divider rule from the output section, as I have obtained in my last slide, and by naming the all other naming this all other term other than the II as A capital I, where A capital I represents the A small I times R naught divided by RL, and if you consider that RL tends to 0 for A capital I, so that result is A small I. So which represents the A small I is nothing but the open loop short circuit current gain, whereas A capital I represents the open loop with load current gain, and the closed loop with load current gain is represented as this feedback gain A capital IF, which includes this A capital I factor. Finally, replacing this II from this equation and this I naught from this equation in the first equation, I'm getting this equation, and in this equation by taking this VI divided by RI common and finally dividing this expression by VI and reversing it, I am getting this RIF. And in this expression, if I consider that RS goes to infinity, so that will result this with feedback input impedance is equals to Ri without feedback input impedance divided by this 1 plus K times A capital I. So that results that for a current shunt feedback, the with feedback input impedance is less than the without feedback input impedance because this 1 plus K times A capital I is very greater than 1. So for shunt comparison, the first example of the shunt comparison, we have seen that input impedance is less than the with feedback input impedance is less than the without feedback input impedance. So therefore, let's examine the voltage shunt, which is another shunt comparison. What happened for the voltage shunt comparison? And from this previous from these three uh, uh, discussion, we can conclude that we have seen for the series comparison, the input impedance increases, and for the first example of the shunt comparison, we have seen that the input impedance gets decreased. So we can conclude before examining the voltage shunt comparison, that as the voltage shunt is also another shunt comparison, so we may expect the input impedance should decrease for that also. Let's see. Here the analysis is same, only difference is the output section where the feedback signal is again here IF, but it is taking the output voltage rather than the output current. So now apply KCL, I am getting this K times V naught, whereas in the current comparison, current shunt feedback, we are having this K times I naught, and V naught you can easily achieve by applying voltage divider rule and by naming this all factor other than this I as R capital M, and R capital M is nothing but the R small m if you consider RL tends to infinity, which represents the RL as open loop open load voltage gain, and RM represents the open loop with load voltage gain, whereas RMF capital MF represents the closed loop with load voltage gain or the with feedback voltage gain, and that follows the similar expression what is followed by all other feedback topologies. Now replacing these II from this equation, which is equals to Vi by Ri, and replacing this V naught from this equation into the first equation, I'm getting this, and from here if I take common this Vi divided by Ri and dividing this Is by Vi and taking the inverse of that, I am getting this RIF with feedback input impedance, and that is Vi divided by Is. And if you consider that Rs tends to infinity, you are having this expression. So in this case also we can see that input impedance with feedback is less than the input impedance without feedback. So input impedance without feedback is Ri, and which when gets divided by this desensitivity factor 1 plus K times R capital M, that results in this RIF. So we can conclude that for series comparison the input impedance gets increased, and for shunt comparison the input impedance gets decreased. And because for shunt comparison input impedance decreases in order to support the requirement for trans resistance amplifier and the current amplifier. The requirement for these two amplifiers in the case of input impedance were to where the input impedance should be as small as possible in order to drive the entire source current through their input impedance. By employing this negative feedback, we are having the similar effect, or we are getting the effect which is required or suitable for the input impedance of the current amplifier as well as the trans resistance amplifier. That is why in case of shunt comparison the input impedance gets decreased by employing the negative feedback. In summary, we can conclude with these 2 points that the input impedance of a series mixing gets increased and input impedance in shunt mixing gets decreased. The base amplifiers used for the series mixing were the voltage amplifier and the transconductance amplifier, and from our previous analysis and even from the recapitulation of this in this lecture, we have seen the requirement of these two type of amplifiers, that means voltage and transconductance amplifier. The input impedance of these two amplifiers must be very greater than the source impedance, or in other words we can say that it will be always better to increase the input impedance as large as possible for these two type of amplifiers. And while you are employing the negative feedback is helping or it's supporting to increase the input impedance of these two type of amplifiers, and that is why the with feedback input impedance is resulted higher than the without feedback input impedance. Now come to the shunt mixing. The base amplifier used for the shunt mixing were the current amplifier and the trans resistance amplifier. And from our previous analysis, the requirement of the input impedance for these two type of amplifiers were the input impedance should be as small as possible, or in other words we can say the input impedance must be very less than the source impedance of these two type of amplifier, because our objective is to drive the entire applied current through the input impedance of the device, because the device internally can amplify that current which flows through its input impedance, not the exact current what you are applying across it. So in order to amplify the most of the current what you are applying, the most of the current should flow through the input impedance of the devices. So in order to achieve that condition, the input impedance must be as small as possible. And when you are employing the negative feedback, we can see the input impedance practically gets decreased. And here also the negative feedback is supporting the requirement for the current amplifier and the trans resistance type of amplifier. So negative feedback has lots of advantage. It not only provide the control over gain, not only increases the bandwidth, and not only reduces the noise, it also provides the support for the input impedance of these four type of amplifiers. And later on we will see what what will be the effect of this negative feedback on output impedance as well as the gain bandwidth product.